Hello everybody, John here, and today I'm going to walk you through using cheap and easily available OBD2 kit to read some codes and find out interesting things about your Jaguar XK8, XKR, or to be honest, practically any car that is not earlier than 1996. So what's OBD2? What's it all about? What cars can you use this facility on? What kit do you need? What can it tell me? Will it work with a Jaguar? Those are all questions that I get quite regularly, and you know, I'm an enthusiastic amateur. I am not an expert in this, but I thought I'd share what I know, and in a separate video I'll have a look at the application based, basically using phones and tablets, version of doing this. This is the straightforward simple one where you just get a bit of kit off the internet and away you go, and it will not cost you much. So first thing to think about is OBD2 is just onboard diagnostics type 2, the second generation if you like, and having this system is legislated, so your vehicle should have it. When did it come in? 1996 was when it was first legislated as a legal requirement for cars for North America, and obviously what happens in North America has a bigger impact on everybody else. Big country, lots of cars, so there's plenty of vehicles that went nowhere near North America that still had OBD2 from 96. From about 2000, 2002, you're going to have everything that's European, that's got a petrol engine, that will also be OBD2 compliant. And 2004 onwards, diesels got involved as well. There's some variations in the dates, but most of the manufacturers actually got ahead of the game. So even if your car's a little earlier than those dates, you've quite likely got OBD2 connections. One thing to be wary of, there is earlier systems, early Ford systems, for instance, look like exactly what I'm going to show you, but they don't work because basically the connectors are wrong. It's like old video cassettes using SCART leads, etc. So there's some subtle difference in the really early, not quite OBD2 era cars. As to the what is it, this is an OBD2 connector, or at least the male of it. It looks very much like a SCART lead, if I'm honest. Same sort of format to the outer. And all the cars we've mentioned, from the eras we've mentioned, will have a receiver for this, a socket in which you can plug OBD2 compliant bits of kit. And for most vehicles, it's very, very easy to find. So I'm just looking in the interior of my XK8 now, and the clue is find your steering wheel, and then you've got to look in a radius around it of about 300 mil, and it's got to be on the steering wheel side of the centre line of the car, and almost without exception. And there are exceptions, there are things in glove boxes, things in ashtrays, all sorts of things. But if you've got a Jaguar, it's going to be straightforward, and 90% of other cars is going to be equally straightforward. Steering wheel, so this is obviously, I'm not going to say left and right. Down this panel, your OBD2 connector is here. As a rule of thumb, I always think that the OBD2 connector is going to be by the driver's shin. I know I'm sometimes wrong, but if I start looking there, I'm not going to be far away. So, where is it? What does it look like? Obviously, I showed you the male. The female, whoops, is there. We have a huge advantage with sort of 2000-ish era Jags, because we have a door. Oh, that wasn't very well fitted. We have doors on the ends of our dashboards which are for fuse boxes, and if you need any help locating it, or you're not so agile, or you can't or don't want to stick your head upside down to find it, by looking in through the door you can actually see the back, the top of this connector. So you can actually use that as a sight line to connect up, so you don't need to even look underneath the dashboard. Once you've used these things a couple of times, you can do it by feel anyway. So this is my basic piece of kit. I've had this quite some time. I started using it before I discovered app-based OBD2 readers, and still pull it out on a regular basis because it just works. And this is a Memoscan, that's the brand, U480. They do some others. They're quite easy to identify online because they all tend to look like this. Orange units, 1 or 2 buttons, and they've never got much in the way of controls on them. Fixed cable, doesn't disconnect, robust if basic, and is just shipped as a unit like that with a little booklet. And this is one bit of kit that you actually don't want to throw away your booklet for. That is an important piece of the jigsaw. In terms of price, I'll put a link below because it is a pointless exercise giving you a price. It'll change by the time I've said it, and depends where you are in the world so how much these things cost. But I guarantee, regardless of what you think dear is, these are cheap. These are pocket money. So plugging this thing in on a Jaguar, the socket obviously has a long and a short edge. The long edge is towards the transmission tunnel. Just reach below your dashboard. There we go. I'm trying to get both in view. There we go. Place it into the socket. Give it a good jiggle. Literally, you are done. And the positioning on the Jag is very good because it's not in your way. There are other forms of OBD2 reader which I'll show you another day, where you don't have this cable and you have a Bluetooth transmitter, and you can leave them plugged in on the Jag because it's not in the way. They're great. So at this stage, my Memoscan 480 just tells me it's a Memoscan 480. Nothing more interesting than that. I've only got 2 buttons, enter and scroll. How easy could that be? In terms of selecting other bits of kit, there's a plethora of these made in China usually on the internet, and they'll probably all do a decent job. My recommendation, and no bias here because I'm certainly not German, but TUV, it's kind of the German the institute that does their testing. Like in the UK, they look after the MOTs. If it's got a TUV approval on it, then it's going to be fine, because what Germans do very well is standards. Next step, grab your key, put it in the ignition and turn on your ignition. And you want to turn it to the position that puts all the lights on your dashboard. Then the beauty of a very simple and basic OBD2 tool is you haven't really got to learn how to use this too much. It's only got a couple of buttons. Guess. Enter. So she's lit up, we've got the ignition on, we press enter. What it's doing now is it's working its way through a series of little protocols and seeing what sort of system it's connected to what standard, and now it's reading error codes. It's looking in the car's memory, it's looking to see which ECUs have collected which error codes. And I hope that you saw there, but it actually said 0. Yay! So after it's briefly shown the number of codes that you've got, it brings you to a menu. And the first item on the menu is diagnostic trouble codes, which I know I have none. But if I press enter, i.e. please show me those codes, mine says no codes. If it has shown, let's say, 3 codes when it's gone through its little list, on yours, when you press enter, instead of saying no codes, it might say P0026. And if you've got several codes, you press the scroll button to work your way through them. What do they mean? Here's where we pick up our little instruction book. And more than almost any other gadget that you buy, maybe barring a really clever battery charger, your instruction book is not for ignoring. Mine obviously is for England and is in English, and even though it's got a few pages to it, none of the pages are in any other language. There's a few pages of basic instructions, a lot of which you really don't need to use, up to page 11. But from page 12 to page 47 is just codes. So actually, a good deal of what you're paying for is a nice list of codes. These are pretty generic. You can look them up on websites, etc., find them all out. But I said, imagine you got 0026. Then you look across, it says generic code, i.e. same for all cars. Intake, valve bank number 1, the control solenoid, CKT, range or performance error. So, I don't even know what that means, but that's not a problem. I haven't got that problem. And everything in this book is just a code that might give you a clue. Let's just flick through and see. There we go. There's something that we might recognise and actually might happen. If you've got P0390, the camshaft position sensor on the B bank of your engine, 2-circuit malfunction. Ooh. So that's pointing you at a component. It's even pointing you at a bank. So, you know, you have to look up to see on a Jaguar which is the B bank of your engine, but it's all there. So lots and lots of really useful codes, and those codes can give you clues to all sorts of things. Your shift solenoid A control circuit range performance is an issue, or the control circuit is low or high. Yeah, you don't necessarily know what to do about these things, but you can look them up, you can talk to people, and you know you're looking at a shift solenoid. From a random problem that could be anything, we've now been able to nail this down to a component or an area of the car to go and have a little look at what's going on. Flick to another page. Lost communication with door window motor D. These are really, really useful codes. So that's what your OBD2 reader does. It's a fabulous tool to just have with you when you're thinking about buying a car. Take it with you, plug it in, who's going to object? Read the codes. If you have got error codes, this is also capable of resetting them or wiping the memory, which means if you've got a fault displayed on your dashboard, you can use this to reset or turn that light off. Not for every function, not for every light, not for every code, but the basic ones, you can use this to turn it off, to say, yeah, I know about it, or yeah, I've done something about that, stop telling me. The other thing that these can be used for is to take a live scan. So what that means is this is at the moment only reading data that's stored in a permanent memory in the car. If it detected a fault that is only present because of the nature of the sensors that are picking it up instantaneously, there is no memory of it, then you can run the car with this connected and it should pick up on it. Don't connect or disconnect this thing whilst the ignition's on. So I've left it connected. I'm going to turn the ignition back on and I'm going to start the car. Scroll through the memory, erase codes, I haven't got any. VIN number, interesting. A really good way obviously of checking your car has not been cloned is to check the VIN number against the registration number, various things like that. This knows what the ECU, the brain of the car, believes your VIN number is. But not supported by the 1997 Jaguar XK8. Very useful feature though for an awful lot of cars, because nobody is going to change the VIN number in the computers. So, car's just starting to come up to temperature. Let's do a rescan. Two codes. Let's have a little look at what they are. Give it a moment. Right, it's immediately gone to menu number 1, diagnostic trouble codes. Press enter. Fault number 1. No, fault 1 and 1 pending. Okay, press again. Fault code is P1642. Scroll and 1637, 42 and 37. That one's pending. Now the generic codes that this machine is able to read and gives you the codes in a book, they only go up to 3 digits. So the last page in here, I go up to P999. So immediately I know that that code is a Jaguar specific one, and I don't have all those codes, most of us never will. But what you can then do is just do a quick search online, which I shall do now, and pop that into any search engine, and you should find a wealth of helping Jaguar enthusiasts who are going to tell you what that code means, if not necessarily how to fix it. So let's have a little look at that. In this case, my research shows that for both codes, similar sorts of errors. It's a CAN, communication network error, and it can actually be triggered by plugging in an OBD2 reader. And as I'm experiencing no issues and faults on the car at the moment, that's what I'm going to assume it is, and see what happens. But you can always clear those faults and see if they pop back up on the reader again whilst you're not moving the connector, and you'll learn. So, right, so we're going to turn off the ignition. We're now able, with the ignition off, to pull out my OBD2 socket. So straight away you can see that a really cheap OBD2 reader, like this one, a code reader if you like, can get you started towards some really quite sophisticated stuff with your Jaguar. And our cars are just complicated enough that you can't really do without one of these. So I strongly recommend you get one. I'm going to put a link to one of these or very close to it in the description below this video. So check that out, and you'll see the prices. That'll be great. I'll also do a video very soon, on the application based versions of these bits of kit. In terms of being able to read more codes, Jaguar is quite good at defending its codes. People out there in the internet and world know what they are, and you can do what I've just done with Google. Some of the best apps are still not going to read all of the codes on your Jaguar, so don't think that the application-based ones are the answer to all that. Also, you need several bits of kit, they're less robust, they need charging up, all the rest of it. This lives in your toolbox. It's got no batteries in. There's nothing to lose other than the little book, and it will get you the job done. I think of this as the piece that goes in your toolbox, and the application-based stuff is a great toy, and you can get some really interesting information and some real-time live information off of that makes it very interesting for other reasons. So get yourself a little code reader, stick it in your toolbox. Brilliant tool. Hope you've enjoyed this video, guys. If so, give us a thumbs up. Please comment if you're interested in what we're doing. Get involved. Share your thoughts, opinions, what readers you've used and had some success. Have you got a reader that's affordable and reads all the Jaguar codes? That would be fascinating to know about. Please let us know. And possibly the most important of all, after subscribing to the channel, is share with your friends. I'm trying to grow this channel to be a great community, selfishly, so that I can find out how to do all the jobs I need to keep looking after my beloved Jag. But also I'm enjoying making friends, and I think quite a lot of you guys are starting to see that as the purpose of the channel as well. A bunch of guys trying to sort things out on their cars and projects. We've got lots of new projects coming up soon, many more projects, secrets, tune-ups on the XK8, but Campy is coming out because of the sun, and she's going for MOT tomorrow, so we may have some enforced project work to do there. The Gravity Racer is starting to call to me, and did come out for a little bit of a fettling and a test run when my brother was around the other day, so might have to do some more work on that and get her out for a season of racing. Following on from the great experience we've been having with the Avon tyres on our Navara NP300, we've just put a brand new set, you can even see the grease still on the tyres, of Avon's, again the ZX7s, on our Jeep. So some interesting experiments need doing on our Renegade. See how that reacts to having some pretty good sticky road tyres on a Jeep Renegade, which is chipped and drives like a little Saab turbo. So stick with us for plenty of automotive based, shed located, garage located fun this summer. On to the garage.